Hi guys, and welcome back to the 401 file. It's an absolute pleasure, like I always say, to have each and every one of you here with me. Today I'm going to make another special video for you guys. This one's about the Patterson Gimlin footage, one of the most recognisable, iconic pieces of footage regarding Bigfoot there ever has been. So I'm going to dive into this and I'm going to give you guys a little bullet point video of all the things that people try to use in debunking this, and I'm going to tell you exactly why they are incorrect in my opinion. So stay tuned for this one guys. Like I said, all you Bigfoot fans out there, you Sasquatchy type fans that love this stuff, are really going to enjoy this one. So sit back, grab yourself a coffee and relax. So the video that we've just seen there guys of Patty the Bigfoot walking through the creek was shot in 1967 by two amateur movie makers, Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin. Now if we fast forward only 1 year to 1968, we see that there is a movie that's about to break records, and this is called Planet of the Apes. Planet of the Apes had a budget of $5.8 million, and the whole basis of that video was the believability of apes taking over the world. So a large chunk of that $5.8 million would have gone into the research and the crafting of these costumes because they needed to be believable. So as we've just seen there guys, in those few clips that I've just shared with you from the movie in 1968, there is a lot of headshots based around the masks. They want the focal point to be on the mask because that is where a lot of the detail was. That's where the selling point was going to be for this movie. They wanted those masks to be believable, and with the moving mouth and the animatronics that were going on in the face, then that was what they wanted the people to see. However, there isn't many full body unclothed shots. Why is that? Because to have an upright bipedal walking monkey with muscle definition, hair and all the other things that are required to make it believable is very, very difficult. So that's why in the Planet of the Apes 1968 movie, we see a lot of the time they're all covered up and clothed, and the only real thing that we're seeing is the face. Now let's just fast forward a little bit to 2017, where we now see the latest movie of the Planet of the Apes. Notice how they're not using costumes anymore, and they've actually switched to using full CGI, because CGI is a lot more believable than trying to stick a man in a monkey costume. It's far more easier to create it with CGI, something that Patterson Gimlin never had. But even with CGI, we can still tell that something's not right, something feels off, it doesn't look natural. And these just aren't the feelings that I get when I watch Patterson Gimlin footage. Now I don't need to sit here and show you guys the differences between the pieces of footage. It's clearly obvious. There's a reason that Planet of the Apes had 90% shots of the apes just around the face area, and that's because that's where most of the detail went, and they were proud of that. They had the animatronics with the mouth moving, and back in the time this was groundbreaking, so then it did look realistic. However, when you look at the Patty footage, this is a full body, upright, bipedal walking creature with no overhanging garments to hide features or muscle definition, and it's clearly obvious that the Patty footage is way more believable. One of the common things I hear a lot from the Bigfoot opposition is that it's a man in a monkey suit. They believe that this famous Patterson Gimlin footage of the Bigfoot walking through the creek is no more than just an upright walking person, or maybe one of the camera guys filmed this themselves and faked the whole thing. I'm going to show you why I think, or why I know this, in my personal opinion, to be completely inaccurate. So we need to understand that Patterson and Gimlin wasn't any kind of big Hollywood movie producers. They wasn't producing any smash hit movies of note. If anything, they were just hobbyists. Hobbyists with a passion to go out there and try and search this phenomenon. What I will say is, if the Patterson Gimlin footage is fake, then the budget that went to the Planet of the Apes of $5.8 million definitely fell into the wrong hands, because these guys did a far better job. So let's just for a minute forget everything I've just said and assume for 1 second that this is somehow a man in a suit, and somehow Patterson Gimlin, with no budget that we know of, managed to create the most believable Bigfoot costume known to man. They also found an actor who was at almost 8 foot to walk very confidently in an environment that was suitable for bears and other wildlife animals. Because at no point does the actor inside the suit trip, fall, stumble, or even look uncomfortable in that environment. In fact, he walks and even has the audacity to look behind him while walking over rough terrain. As far as I'm aware, no actor with such skills has ever come forward and claimed to be the man inside the suit. So are Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin the luckiest men in the world? Let's think about this. They're two hobbyists, they've come across a Bigfoot, they had no budget, they've created a fake suit that's the most believable we've ever seen, even in Hollywood. and it will rival some of the costumes we even see in today's movies. They also found or stumbled across an actor who's actually so comfortable, more comfortable than the animals that live in that environment, to do this kind of footage for them and didn't want no credit. These are very, very slim chances. What's more believable is that this footage, this Bigfoot, is genuine. So moving on, guys, one of the next things that we often hear from disbelievers of the Bigfoot phenomenon is, how come one has never turned up? We've never found one, not even so much had a shred of evidence. I want to give you guys just a quick insight as to how big this planet really is, because I sometimes feel like we lose track of that, and I sometimes feel like with technology of today, people assume that if there is anything or was anything out there to be found, surely we would have found it by now. But if we take places like the Amazon rainforest, for example, which is 2.72 million square miles, then this gives you a rough idea as to how big some of these places are out there that are still very much undiscovered. There are places on this planet today that even man hasn't stepped foot. There are literally places on this planet that you could take a plane ride and see nothing but trees below for hours on end. So the idea that a Bigfoot wouldn't be able to survive, doesn't have the environment, or surely wouldn't be able to stay hidden for this length of time is completely and utterly nonsense. So when we look at things like that and we realise and put things into perspective as to how big the planet is and how much there is still out there undiscovered, we do start to realise that in fact we are actually tiny and we have only discovered a very small part of what this planet has to offer. If we look at the sea, for example, there's many, many different species and creatures that have been discovered, but there's also 10 times that amount that are still yet to be discovered, and some that will never be discovered. So when we put it like that, and when we start to think of it in this way, that's the equivalent of someone sticking their toe or dipping their toe in the ocean and confirming that there's no life in there. We haven't even scratched the surface or dipped our toe in the ocean when it comes to rooting these animals out. Another great way of looking at this is animals like the panda. Now the panda was only discovered 150 years ago, and this is a black and white large creature that lives in a green environment. So why was that only discovered? Because that sounds to me like it would easily be discoverable. But yet only 150 years ago we came across these animals and confirmed them. The reason was because of where the panda lives. Where the panda lives, it's very dense, overgrown, and it's very difficult to get there on foot. Now they wasn't hiding, they didn't have any fear or idea of danger from men, and yet they managed to stay pretty well hidden for a very, very long time. Now imagine if we had an animal that was aware of human danger, but also had the intelligence to knowingly stay hidden. Just to strengthen my case a little bit more to any of the disbelievers that think a Bigfoot should have turned up by now, I want to read you this quick insert that I found on Google. It says here that more than 99% of all species that ever lived on Earth have been extinct. That's a massive amount of animals that just disappeared, never to be seen again. But if we read down further, it says, which about 1.74 million have been databased, and over 80% have not yet been discovered. 80% of the believed amount of animals or species on this planet are still yet to be discovered. Look at the way this thing walks. Look at the muscle definition in the buttocks. Look at the posture as she stoops, the breasts as she turns. Everything about this footage rings true. So just to do a quick breakdown, a quick recap of what we've just discussed, for any of you that still believe this could be a man in a suit, to say this is a man in a suit, what you're actually saying is that you believe these two amateur filmmakers hoaxed the whole thing, created the most elaborate costume ever seen in Hollywood movies, and somehow stumbled across the most talented actor to ever walk the planet of the Earth, who was roughly 8 feet tall and could walk against rough terrain without so much as a stumble. And for any of you that still stand by the idea that there isn't even so much as a shred of evidence to support this animal, there was never any suggestion or support to prove the atomic bomb until it was dropped in 1945, and there was 130,000 people working on that. I hope that you guys have enjoyed some of the concepts that I put across in this video. I'm never going to be able to bring you groundbreaking footage or information regarding the Patterson Gimlin footage. It's just been analysed and picked apart too much over the years. However, what I can do is share my unique opinions, thoughts and theories about this footage, and I hope that you've enjoyed that. Until next time, guys, like I always say, take it easy, look after yourselves and stay safe. Until the next time, I'll see you on the next one.